This is an NBC News Special Report. Here's Lester Holt.
Good afternoon from New York. We're coming on the air with breaking news about an exceptionally brutal day on Wall Street. President Trump's tariffs sparking a huge sell-off today, sending all three major markets plunging. The trading day there, you're hearing the bell ringing. It's closing. The free fall comes after the president's announcement yesterday to slap reciprocal tariffs on global trading partners. Let's look at the final numbers now on Wall Street. The Dow losing almost a little over 4% of its value. The S&P 500 losing about 5%. The NASDAQ down about 6%. Let's go to Christine Romans right now, who is at the New York Stock Exchange. Christine, we've seen bad days on Wall Street before that in the final hour, suddenly the buying opportunities and everything seems okay. This isn't that.
This is not that. In fact, you did not get any of that late day buying, people trying to find a bargain. They don't think there are any bargains here, at least right now. 1,700 points almost on the Dow Industrials, almost 5% on the S&P 500. Those are big one-day moves. In fact, when you look at the move in this market today, we haven't seen a day like this in the S&P and the NASDAQ since March, early 2020. Remember what was happening then? That was COVID, when the entire global economy was shutting down. So that was the last time we saw a really tough day like that. Dow had a bad day back in 2022. That was because of really sky-high inflation and the worries there. So that gives you a sense of just the dread among investors about what the president's tariff regime will mean for these companies and the big global supply chains that they depend on. Another average I like to look at is called the Russell 2000. That is 2,000 smaller companies. These are really the backbone of the American economy. That one down even worse, almost 7% at one point, Lester.
All right, Christine, I'll ask you to stand by while I turn to our senior White House correspondent, Gabe Gutierrez. He's in Doral, Florida, where the president is just about to land. Gabe, we're getting some mixed messaging from the White House on all this.
Yeah, that's right, Lester. For the last day or so, White House officials have been insisting that this change in tariff policy is not a negotiation. And yet, a short time ago, President Trump telling reporters that he wants the rest of the world to try and make a deal. Now, as you said, he is heading here to Florida, to his Doral Golf Club. But as he departed Washington, he did speak to reporters a short time ago. Here's what he said.
The markets are going to boom. The stock is going to boom. The country is going to boom. And the rest of the world wants to see, is there any way they can make a deal? They've taken advantage of us for many, many years. For many years, we've been at the wrong side of the ball. And I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be unbelievable. The thing that people have to talk about, we're up almost to $7 trillion of investment coming into our country. And you'll see how it's going to turn out. Our country's going to boom.
The president there in his role as cheerleader-in-chief, trying to calm those markets. But, Lester, yesterday I spoke to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and I asked him what he would tell Americans who are worried that they may pay more in the short term. He said that they weren't really sure what the price effects will be, essentially adding to this uncertainty. But White House officials say that this is all part of their plan, the realignment of global trade, and to trust in Trump. Lester.
All right, thanks. Let me go back to Christine Romans again at the New York Stock Exchange. Christine, what does tomorrow and the day, next day, and the day after that look like here, assuming that these tariffs are laid in place?
Well, today the stock market lost $2 trillion in value. So you heard the president talk about the trillions will be coming in. Today, $2 trillion lost. And the big question is, will companies feel like there is certainty to make their investments? Will they be able to grow and move forward? Or are they going to be in a defensive crouch here and not spending money? That's when you start to see, a recession, potentially. Some economists are saying, others are saying that we could skirt a recession. But certainly a lot of questions here about what this means for business spending and what it means for hiring in the months ahead.
Yeah, and Christine, it's been interesting to listen all day to what's coming from different countries, the language, the talk about retaliation, or in some cases, a lack of talk about retaliation. Is that the other big shoe to drop here as to what other countries will do in response to this?
Absolutely, because we have seen this before in a trade war when one party fires a shot, another fires a shot back, and that could mean that U.S. products could be targeted, really important exports that the U.S. has. I'm thinking like pork and soybeans and so many tech services and a lot of these places where the U.S. does run a big surplus. Those could be rich targets for some of these countries to try to prove a point that the U.S. isn't in here alone, that it is a global trading system.
All right, Gabe, let me ask you about how the White House has handled this. It seems that they have left at least some opening that this might have been a response in the market, but at the same time expressing this faith that this will cause companies to build and sell in America.
Yeah, that's right, Lester, and that is all part of the president's plan. And White House officials have been stressing that their goal is to get American manufacturing back here in the U.S. They say that businesses have been decimated over the last several decades. And Lester, this is something that President Trump was speaking about decades ago before he entered politics, speaking about this very thing. He repeatedly says that tariff is his favorite word in the dictionary, and the White House keeps reiterating that this is something that he promised during the campaign, and they view it as a promise kept. Now, of course, a lot remains to be seen how this all plays out, but so far, the president shows no signs of backing off his policy, Lester.
Gabe Gutierrez, thank you very much, and Christine Romans as well. That concludes this NBC News Special Report. We'll have much more on the markets and what it means for the U.S. economy tonight on Nightly News, and we continue our coverage on our streaming channel, NBC News Now. I'm Lester Holt in New York. Thank you for watching, and good day.